But there's hope for my city. We are the chosen ones. We are the light, reflecting His only Son. Hope for my city.
Well, welcome to Hope for My City Prison Edition. We'd like to say Happy New Year, 2024. Man, we're gonna timestamp it like that. This is episode 2. We started off with Evaristo. We did the interview and, came together and started talking for the first one and letting you know what you can expect, in the future. And we have a special treat here today. And here in a second, you'll see the camera pan in that direction. But we got Evaristo here today. He'll say hi, but oh my goodness, he has his backbone, his what else would you say? Don't put the camera yet on him.
What I would say is this: I always tell people there's a new worship song that came out about a year or 2 years ago, and it says, "This is my rescue story."
Okay.
You never gave up on me.
Yeah.
And so that's my rescue story. My rescue story is here. My wife, Angelica, and we've been together. I'll just give it out there. This coming June 10th will be 33 years.
Man.
33 years, but it'll be 24 years on paper.
Praise
So,
God.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Come on.
That's a hand clap right there. Let's go. I think we got, let me see. I got to do a little grito. I think we got a little grito. Oh, no, this is the wrong one. But anyway, that's awesome, man. So, Angelica.
That's right, yeah.
So glad to have you with us.
Thank
you. We've been waiting for this. We've talked about it, and man, now we're here. This is, you guys stay locked in. This is going to be such an amazing time for us, and there's more things like this to come. God, where He guides, He provides, and that's what you're going to see here today. You've heard from this man of God, Pastor Garcia. The last time we were here, and now this is his wife, Pastor Angelica. And here we go. We're going to start off with some questions. You know how we do. We're going to kick it off with some questions. So the first one is just pretty simple. Let us know, who are you, for those who are getting a chance to get to know you here through this podcast.
My name is Angelica Garcia. I lived in McGregor all my life. Just simple girl, I'm a pastor now. Back then I was just, simple girl, but I'm a pastor at New Covenant Life Church.
Okay.
And Evaristo is my husband.
Amen.
And, what the Bible says, what God put together, let no man put asunder.
Yeah.
Been through some, up and down, and from my teenage year to who I am today, but I never will change it. I'll keep, if I had to do it again, I'll do it again.
So what was it like growing up in McGregor? Quiet.
My parents were very strict. Couldn't go to a football game, to school, work. Simple. Just, like I said, my dad wouldn't let me call anybody or go out with my friends, not even my neighbors. I used to go outside in the fence just to talk to them. And when my dad or my mom pulls up, I said, I have to go run inside, but I was sheltered.
Okay. All right. So now looking back at being sheltered, what are some pros and cons of that? Some good, bad, or the ugly of all that.
From being sheltered, you're like, okay, as soon as I hit 18, I'm leaving the house. The first thing, get a job so I could get out of the house. And, my parents, I know they had good intention, but I could say I was a rebellious one growing up because I didn't like authority. And
really?
Yeah.
Man, how so? What are some?
Because I would go to work, and there's times I didn't come home for a day, and when I met Evaristo. But even though we're innocent, my dad had enough. There was one time when my dad undid the battery, and I couldn't get the car started, but I figured it out.
Really?
And got it going and left, and until I turned 18. My dad made my mom pack my stuff in a luggage, and when I came home from work, he says, "Take your stuff. You're out of here. You don't want to listen." So I got kicked out.
Yeah. What are some things in being sheltered during that time? Did you know about, obviously, like, did you go to school, in public school? Were you homeschooled?
No, I went to regular school.
So you seen things that were different than how you grew up.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. What was that?
I mean, every time you're at school, you hear your friends, oh, there's a party. Come on, let's go do this. And it's like, man, I can't go. And,
Okay.
yeah.
So it's like you felt like you were missing out just being young.
Yes.
Your parents, obviously, from their point of view, I'm sure they were just trying to protect you. Maybe in some areas they were overprotective, and as a result, you ended up living in having a sheltered life, which, by the way, happens to us as parents, man. Those of us that have been through it, man, when it's our first time raising our kids, I remember the young ones, man, I was super overprotective. My daughter, who's engineering right now, would probably tell you I'm still there. But man, it happens to the best of us. We try to do the best we can. So I'm sure that was your parents' perspective and their journey. But in doing that, what was the bad things you seen out there that you took notice of?
Drugs, people doing cocaine, smoking weed, and that's one thing that never draw to me. I see people shooting up.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Was that like in school or walking home or in the neighborhood?
Sometimes in school, people making out. It was like it was crazy.
Really?
Yeah, but the drugs, in a way, my parents that shelter me, I'm kind of glad.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a druggie, I'm not a drug addict. I'm not addicted.
Wow.
Even though I guess the things that I saw really just like, man, that's how they act. I don't want to do all that.
Wow. So you got out of school, and you got to the place where you were saying where there was some headbutting there. Dad was unplugging the battery, trying to do whatever he could as a father to sabotage you from leaving and those kind of things. And then so eventually you moved on. And so what happened with Angelica then?
Well, at that time I was dating Evaristo. And
really?
I said,
Yeah.
Straight?
So you remember Cody's?
Yeah.
You remember that place, Cody's?
Yeah, of course.
The minor madness for us teenagers.
I do remember.
Well, she was able to get out of the house, and she went over there with
Margie,
some family members, her friends.
Yes.
And I would happen to be there, me and my brother, Michael Shane.
Yeah, man.
And so anyways, I was there, and then I ran into one of my primos that was there. One of my cousins was there, and he's like, say, man, he goes, there's 3 girls from McGregor here. He said, they already seen you. They done sized you up.
What?
He's like, you can have anyone you want.
Like that.
So I pull up on them, and we introduced each other. We introduced ourselves to each other. And the moment before I could pick, Angelica jumped up talking about, hey, you want to go out there and go dance? And here we are 33 years later.
Wow.
And you know what song it was?
What song was it?
Brian Adam. Everything I do it for you.
Like that.
Yes, sir. Just like that.
Wow.
Now, I didn't share this part, but the house she grew up in, I lived across the street when I was little.
What?
So
Yes.
I remember her when I was little, and she remembered me when I was little. And we used to play together. And then the number of years stretched out, where I was gone, whatnot. And so just like a full circle came back around, 15 years old, to run into her at the Cody's club for minors.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
Man,
it.
Cody's, I remember that was West LA. Was it West LA?
Afterwards.
And no, I know, but it was Mr. B's.
It was Mr. B's.
And so it went through all those, man, I remember we were young, boy. That was
But Cody's was the original place.
Yeah.
And the only way that I was able to go out is because my friend's dad will come and he'll get off and say, I'm taking him and I will bring him back. That's the only way.
Really?
Yeah.
I was going to ask, how did you even get to go there?
Because the dad got out and my dad, we're good friends with her dad. So.
Okay, so it worked out that way.
It worked out.
Man, bro.
And God had me there the same night.
Ain't that something?
Yes, sir.
So, okay, so y'all connected. And then, so what happened from there?
Well, at 19, I got pregnant.
Okay.
And I'm like, now, what are we going to do now? We were just working at M&M Mars making $4.25 an hour.
An hour.
Oh, snap.
Yes.
That was a long time ago. I remember
Long
those
time
days.
ago.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you were it when you made $5 an hour. Man.
Yes.
Okay. So y'all were working there, and you both of y'all together?
Yeah,
worked
we were
together.
working together.
Yeah. So I will pay the rent, or he'll pay the rent, and I buy the groceries, which is soup. I can't hardly even stand Roman noodle soup.
I was feeding her ramen noodle.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Because we were in a low budget.
Yeah, we was on low budget. You know where we lived?
Where?
At the Bar X
X.
apartments.
Where's that?
Bar X off of LaSalle or 77.
Oh, snap.
We
We
were on
lived
the very
there.
top.
Yeah, we lived there because it was $80 a week, all bills paid.
Yes.
Wow.
Back
and
then.
and so our checks were about $140 a piece. And so I would buy rent and gas, and then she had the car payment. And she'll do the car payment and buy a little bit of groceries.
Okay. So what was y'all first car together?
Well, it was her car. She had a
I
car.
always had a car. I always worked.
What car? What car was that? What kind was it?
It was
Caprice Classic.
yeah, that's right.
Is it
Ask,
Capri?
she made all the payments by herself. She had
Oh,
one
my
payment
gosh.
left, a $50 payment, and she would pay the car off.
And he totaled it.
She told me to go pay the car payment,
Nah, bro.
and I dropped her at
Yes.
work.
Man,
and,
watch out.
And man,
bro.
instead of paying the car payment, I used that $50.
Nah, bro. Hold
And I
on,
went and bought
bro.
alcohol, weed, and I flipped the car at TP&L, totaled it
I was mad.
Out of line, bro.
on the last car payment.
Yeah.
What?
I crashed out. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And she bonded me out of jail the next day.
I did.
You bonded that knucklehead out of jail. Wow.
But he already made it up with he bought me a truck and now what I'm driving, so I let him pass.
Well, of course, 30-something years.
So
How
the
long has it
37
been?
years? Yeah.
33 years.
There's been opportunity to.
Oh yeah,
To make it
a
up.
Malibu, a Chevy, a Dodge, and another Jeep and another Jeep.
So
So, she's
you
already
saying
had
it's-
about 5 cars.
You're saying it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
It's how you finish.
All right.
That's right.
And you
Another-
ain't finished.
No, we ain't done yet.
We're just beginning.
Hey, that's what's up, man. No, wow. So what year was that car? Do you remember or no?
You know, so this had to be in '93
Okay.
when I wrecked the car, and it was almost brand new. So it might have been like a '92 Caprice Classic 4-door
real?
clean baby blue.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
It was nice.
Man, you gotta remind me, I got pictures of that?
Nah, but she'll tell you a story of why she wanted pictures of it. If you want to share that
Yeah,
picture.
share that.
Yeah, one time we were just cruising down a neighborhood and they started shooting at us, and I started getting bullet holes.
What?
And so when I went to go visit my parents, they're like, "What happened to your car?" So I told my dad, "I don't know, somebody tried to shoot at me. I don't know." But I wish to this day I did have pictures because I was like,
No,
wow.
but and so the car had bullet.
bullet holes from the end
Alvarito,
to-
did it have something to do with you, boy?
Yeah, I was driving, and I just
Of course,
I just
that
got
makes
into
sense.
some stuff, man, being rebellious and just that
Yeah.
mentality. I was in South Waco, and
without
Yeah.
thinking,
Well, now, go ahead.
without thinking, I jumped out of the car because my rims started coming off, and I went after my rims because I was like, I'm not driving a car without no rim.
yeah, he shot the
back then was the
hubcap off.
yeah. So
Nah, and you got out to get the
without
hubcap
thinking, yeah.
while you were being shot. While
I
you were
gotta
being
get what's
shot at.
mine. Yes.
Hold on, let's rewind that. Okay, say that one more time again. What happened?
So like I jumped out of the car because I saw the rim, going, and so I had to go get it because I'm not gonna drive a car without one of those rims
And the
missing.
bullet,
was
y'all
kicked
were getting shot at.
Yes,
The bullet hits the rim, makes the rim fly off the
Yes.
hubcap.
the hubcap. Yeah.
You get out to get the hubcap.
Yes.
You were worried about the hubcap not being
Yeah.
shot at.
Yeah,
Wow.
in front of the old University High School.
Ooh.
That's where it happened.
You know, earlier I was going to say, when you were talking about the year, man, 92, 93 was around the most violent times in Waco at that time. I think maybe a couple of years, it was neck and neck, or maybe it beat it finally. But in the 90s and 92, 93 was the worst murders that had taken place, even statistically and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's crazy, man.
There's other stuff that
I was in
happened.
the middle of it.
Yeah, all because of Evaristo.
Yeah, I think we're all in the middle of all that stuff, man. It was crazy. It was crazy. South Waco too, man. And you said, where was it at?
In front of University High School.
Right
the
in
old,
front of, right there on
the old
what
one.
was it, Bagby?
Just the street after Bagby. As
Yes.
soon as you pass University High School,
Mm-hmm.
that next street you take a right. It was right there.
Oh, snap. Well, we won't get too deep. I'll be, so-and-so lived right there.
Yeah, they might remember.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, wow. I'm glad y'all made it through that.
Yeah, but God.
But
God.
God,
And
yeah.
it was riddled with bullets. The front door, the back door, passenger side, because I was going this way, going towards I-35.
Boy, the Garcia's got it already busting out with the first car story. And that went crazy already.
Yeah.
So apparently, the bullets and the flipping the car, messing up the car. First of all, him messing up your car, flipping your car, and then getting you shot at, did not phase you a bit. Y'all kept on in the relationship.
We kept on.
Where did it go from there? What's the next big story?
All right. So like I said, I got pregnant at 19,
Mm-hmm.
and he was working at McDonald's. And
Mickey D's?
Mickey D's, and got fired because he was smoking on the roof.
He was what?
He got fired.
What was he doing?
Smoking marijuana.
On the roof on my
On the
lunch
roof?
break.
Yeah.
Wait, on the roof of McDonald's?
Yes.
You know, by the drive-through, they got that ladders attached to the wall to get up on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thought maybe if I just climb up there, the manager won't see me.
Bro.
And I got caught, so they fired me.
On the roof.
Yeah.
Smoking out, just checking out, looking at the whole scene.
Watching Valley Mills Drive.
Wow. So you got fired from that. All right.
Yes.
Trying to make them ends meet.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Well, as time went on, he got into trouble. He had to go to the judge. He had to go to court, and they told him, I got good news and bad news. And they're like, okay, what's the good news? The good news that I'm gonna get you some help from your drugs, from your alcohol. And he goes, okay, well, what's the bad news? He goes, I'm gonna lock you up. So that was, from the courthouse, they took him to the back, and my son was only like 3 months old at the
3
time,
months old.
and I didn't even know this was gonna happen. I stood outside in the parking lot crying, like, now what?
Why? I know this is gonna be why were you crying though? Like for you, what was going on in your mind, in your heart? What was the reason that you were crying?
Because I've never been in prison, but when he says I'm gonna lock you up, I'm like, well, how long is he gonna get locked up? Now my son, a single mom, we were barely making it, and just the fact that he's not gonna be around.
Right. And for you, as a woman dealing with that, a mother, right? Were y'all common law? Or were y'all married at that point?
No,
Common law.
just come along.
Common law. Got shacked up, and so you went to prison.
Yes.
Then, and how long did he do then?
Ooh, you did it, like 5 years.
5 years. What happened the first year or two for you? Do you remember? Like, what are some of the things that you had to deal with being brand new to all this stuff?
Well, I remember the first time, like at 16, and before that happened, he ended up going to juvenile for
With the
stealing.
Vernon.
You went to Vernon State Hospital,
Wow.
and that was hard.
So that was the first time. We missed that part. So right before she got pregnant, I went to the Vernon State youth prison.
Okay.
And I went to youth prison. I was gone probably about 9 months, almost a year.
Okay.
And then that's when I got out, and then she got pregnant with our first child.
Okay. Okay. So when he went this time, though, after the McDonald's deal and all that, when those first 2 years for you, because now you have a baby, right?
Yes.
Which was different than being younger and missing
Yes.
each other, obviously. But now there's a baby involved. I know that hit different, right? Not only for you, but for you. And we'll circle back to you. But so what was that? What
It was
going
hard. I'm like, now what? And I had to go back home because
Okay.
I've always worked. I was always responsible.
Mm.
Yeah, and I didn't want to go back home, but I had to just for a little while.
How were your parents, your mom and your dad, like with that?
Oh, they didn't like him. When they first met him, he had a long tail and, the tattoos. And he goes, my mom told him one time, the way my thigh, because I want to kill you because you took my daughter.
Your mom?
My mom.
That's gangster.
Yes.
Wow. And so, did you have the ducktail, bro?
Remember the ducktail?
Yeah, I do remember. Wait a minute, was it bleached?
It was bleached, yeah. Yeah, I had the long ducktail probably down to the middle of my back, and it was bleached.
There you go.
And so her pops, like, they didn't like me, but he set me up because we were there one day.
What?
And I was drinking with him, and he told me this. He says, if you want to drink with men, you're going to have to cut your hair.
No way,
But he was
bro.
telling me in Spanish, like, si quieres tomar con las hombres, pues corta la pelo. So for me to impress her dad,
Nah, bro.
He had to cut it.
man, I
For
went over there
real?
and cut
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I regretted it afterwards, but
Apparently not.
yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Hey, that's cool. Hey, that's love though. Back in those days,
Yeah.
if you know, bro, man, to cut your hair like that.
Especially
Yeah,
long.
he loved you.
Yeah.
Well, I guess sticking with him through getting shot at and all,
Yeah,
all
I
that. He
know.
owed you.
He owed me.
Yeah. So wow. So you're within that year obviously left to take care of your child, and you had your parents helping you and things like that. So now you go visit them. I mean, unpack that for us, or how does that work? You're a mom now. What did you have to deal with as a woman?
Well, when he went to Brownwood, I went for the first time, and I was so nervous. Had the car running, fixing to get off, get my son, lock the door with the car running. And so I had to get someone to come out and help me, and they got an inmate that was in Brownwood to knows how to unlock the car. And then to this day, he's a tattoo artist here in Waco, but so he unlocked my car and got off, and it was the last time I ever saw him because I'm like, I can't be doing this. So
Wow.
he didn't see no more pictures or no more
So I got
letters.
one visit.
One visit.
That was it.
And
That
I-
was it.
that
That
was
was
it.
that was a defining line for you.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. She went and visited me one time. And but I got pictures and stuff because her mom ended up
My mom did.
having some kind of feelings for me. And her mom would, every Christmas, her mom would send me a Christmas card.
And I didn't know that.
The one that wanted to kill
the
you?
one-
Yeah, with pictures of my oldest son.
The Lord is working,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Grace, love, and mercy extended. Wow, that's awesome, man. And so as a mom, and dealing with your what was it? Your
Suegra?
yeah, you have to deal with your suegra.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of variables going on there. What happened with the first the holidays? Was that? I mean, you just didn't visit them, or how did that make you feel? I know you put your foot down. You realized there's some things you were going to have to change. But what was it like being you and going through that with those decisions?
It was hard. I mean, taking my son to babysitter, working, and always gone. And I missed the years when they were growing up because I always had to work to provide, and that was my responsibility. And when I needed him, it was like he could never stay out. Even when he got out, he'd still get in trouble. I remember one time he got out for 10 days, and I got pregnant with my second son. And to this day, I call him my miracle baby.
How so? Why? Why you calling you miracle baby?
Because I didn't think I was going to have any more kids. After my son was born, my mom said, get your tubes tied because he's never going to change. And then you're going to have to raise these kids by yourself. So I got my tubes tied. And to this day, I regret it. 'Cause I still wanted more kids.
I'll help her out. So the reason why she called the miracle baby is because I stayed out when I got out from doing the 5 years. I stayed out for 10 days.
Yes.
And so during the 10 days that I was out, she got pregnant with our second child.
Right.
So she says that's my miracle baby because within 10 days that he was out, he gets me pregnant. And then I go back to prison. So yeah, I had stayed out for 10 days.
And then the tubes got tied.
And the tubes got tied. My youngest son was born while I was in prison. And then so when she had the baby, she had got her tubes tied because her mom said, that boy ain't never gonna change.
Okay, so let's go there. So the first baby was 3 months, and you were there, right? Because you were out.
Yeah.
Here it is, the second child, and you were locked up.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. What was
So,
that like?
It was hard. Of course, I ended up staying with my mom. I ended up moving. I moved to Weatherford. You know, I was working 2 jobs, 2 different babysitters, raising my sons. It was hard because I didn't want to go back home. And like, this is my responsibility, and you know, I'm gonna take care of my kids. And even though it was hard, I had my own apartment. I always had a car. But, like I said, but I miss out now with my second child. You know, the school activities I could never go, just because I had to work and provide for them.
So for the second one, did you go back to visits or no?
No, the first time in Brownwood, that was it.
That was it.
That was it.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What was going on inside your mind and your heart towards Evaristo?
When I seen him back there, like, you know, we only had an hour. It's like it was hard because I wanted him to come home and I couldn't take him home.
So it was like too hard for you. Would you say like during that second one, those 10 days, was there bitterness developing there, like disappointment that caused you to be bitter? Would you say now looking at it?
Yeah, I was.
How so?
Because I'm like, here I am and can't even be out for 10 days and you're in trouble again. Like, you know.
Do you feel like you had lost some hope or in that at some point on the inside? Just
I did, yeah.
what did that do for you or to you?
I mean, it really just isolate me. I mean, I wouldn't even go around his mom or his dad. Just I took my kids and I moved where no one could see me, just
Really?
away. Yeah.
So Evaristo, during that time, specifically with your relationship with her, like, what did that make you feel like realizing that, sensing that, you know, the disappointment right back, right? Because you were in there doing what you were doing, no doubt, but what was it like for you to go through that?
Man, you know, I was just so lost and gone without emotion.
Okay.
And already had been locked up all my teenage life, even younger than that. So I was already mentally institutionalized.
Okay.
And so, man, there wasn't, like, honestly, I just didn't have no, I just didn't have no feelings behind it, man. And just, and I see it so much with other people that you just get in there. And once you're locked, and we call it getting lost in the system. And so I got lost into the system. I found a new family.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah, it was like, and I blacked everything out too, because, man,
Right.
like if you go in there and all you're thinking about is your baby mama and all you're thinking about out there in the free world,
You're out of there.
man, it'll beat you down emotionally. And so I had to get a black card and cover that up, mainly too because of the culture and the environment and the people that I associated with.
Right.
So everybody carried a mask and nobody showed emotion. So there wasn't time to be able to be focused out there because, man, it was like you get ate up by sharks. If you go in there, man, you show any kind of sense of emotion. And so, yeah, I just blacked it all out. You know?
It reminds me of, I got it on my shoulder, but everybody gets it at some point or another. But it reminds me of the smile now,
Cry later. Yeah, you can say that.
And you know, I got this one where the guy is a pachuco, you know, with the tapita on, flannel on, but he has the face he's taking off, the smile, and he's grabbing the cry one. But it really makes a lot of sense now with how we think, right? It should say smile now, cry never, right?
Yeah.
Because, or at least that's what we are taught to portray or is popularized for us to do for the politics of it, of being a man and stuff, right?
Yeah, and so many people carry that mask, smile now, and even she was probably doing it, smiling now and crying later. And it's crazy how you brought it up because I've got those smile now, cry laters on me, and I have them about this big,
Okay.
cover my whole side. But I was so much in a demonic state that I tattooed them in their demons.
Got you. I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
they're demon smile now cracklators, man. It's covers my whole side. But let's jump on that, and you can talk to her
Yeah.
because a lot of people. I just want to speak. Those of you watching it, and you're incarcerated, and you're wondering why your loved one, whether it's a male or female, why they're inside and they're just lost in the system, is because they're smiling, but on the inside they're crying. But for you that are watching, you may be smiling and you're crying later too because you're holding the family together. So you can't she couldn't let the kids see those emotions. So she's crying on the inside, but she was probably smiling on the outside.
Man.
I'm glad you brought that up.
No,
bro.
that's deep. That's real stuff. That's when you're talking about culture, that's such an iconic symbol of what we emulate, right? Of how we live things out. So yeah, please unpack that same idea with you.
You know what? When I was around my kids, I try to be happy, but at night I would cry.
So for you, it was smile now in front of them. You cry later at night when you're not around them or they're not around you.
Especially when, with my second child, when growing up, going to the grocery store, everywhere I passed, Dada, Dada. I was like, that ain't your daddy. And, I remember one time, I had to go wash clothes because in my apartment I didn't have washer and dryer. And there was a couple there, and they're like, let's get together. I want to get to know who you are. And your kid's like, no. But in other words, she wanted to hit on me. And I'm like,
Straight up?
Straight up. I said, no, I don't do that. I said, you ain't going to disrespect my children. So you better move on with that.
Oh, she was trying to get her macaroni on?
Yeah. But
With her husband.
No, like that, bro?
Yeah.
Man, was this in McGregor?
no, I was living in Weatherford.
Oh, okay. Name drop. Man, that's what's up. They out there. And that was back in the days.
Yeah.
Now I get it. I understand as a culture. Back then, though, that was bold.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, man, that's powerful, man. That's really powerful. So, geez, so that's going on between you. From your perspective, now looking at it, right? How in the world did y'all make it through those dark, lonely times?
Well, like I said, I worked. I had a friend that invited me to church. I was 23 years old, and
There you go.
and so I went to church, and I was always grew up Catholic, but not really because I just did it to get out of the house,
Yeah.
as a little girl. So I went, and I mean, I knew there was a God, but I didn't really have a relationship. I didn't know him like that, and
Okay.
so as I went to church, they started playing the worship music, and they did an altar call, and it's just something hit me that I got up, and by the time I even got up in the middle of the aisle, it's like the Holy Spirit just hit me, and I started crying. I didn't even make it to the pastor. I just received Jesus right there and then, with no prayer on my own.
Wow. And how old were you, did you say?
23 years old.
23 years old. So what happened from that point on? How was the way Angelica was living before? How did that grow with you as you grew in your faith? What was that experience like?
Oh man, loving God is like, man, I would never go back. But I started to depend, started doing a lot of praying, and favor. God was just showing me like, man, I didn't have to struggle as much no more. People would just come and invite us to eat as a family. Me and my sons. I mean, yeah.
Wow.
So I mean,
So it was like a faith community for you.
yes,
It was a healthy community
a healthy.
for you that, that's awesome. So what did that then do for you in your heart and in your mind and your perspective?
Well, I started praying, started saying, God, just like you touch me, touch Evaristo,
Really?
Yeah.
So that went from what to that point? What were you doing before thinking about him?
I was lonely. I mean, because you go to church, you see the couple. I'm like, God, why not me? Why can't I have my spouse? Why can't I have my kid's daddy?
Wow. And what was the duration of time while you started praying? You were asking God to do in your heart and your life, no, to do in His heart and His life what He did in your life. How long was that time?
Ooh,
8
8
years.
years.
8
8
years. Wait a minute. So 23, he had just started his when that happened?
Yeah.
For the 8 years?
Yeah.
So you had to stretch that. Okay, so tell us about that. Tell us about that.
So, okay, when I met the Lord, I ended up moving back to McGregor.
Okay.
I had my own place.
Shout out to McGregor, by the way. Where we at? Let me see where the
Come on,
horns are at. Where? Shout out to everybody over there, in McGregor. What's the mascot over there?
Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs.
Bulldogs. There you go. All
Let's
the
go.
Bulldogs out there. Let's get it.
Yeah. So I started going, looking for a church, started taking my kids to the church, getting involved. And, I started going to the church where I'm at now, New Covenant, start praying, start, asking God to, save my husband. And, I wasn't persistent. Just like when Peter was in prison.
Yeah.
Keep praying without ceasing. You got to believe. You got to trust God. Once you give your life to Jesus, I mean, there's no doubt. God is going to be your timing. I know it's going to happen. I may not see it right now, but I'm going to trust you.
That's right.
So you got to continue to pray without ceasing.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So, okay. So what did that look like, though, for you now? Before there was like no visits. You were just trying to take care of your own. You were coping.
Yes.
It was, that's called like a coping mechanism. It was just your way of just trying to survive, just trying to make it through the reality that you were living in. So how did that change? I know you started praying for him. What did that do for how you thought about him? Did any visits come along?
No visits
or
still.
you stayed with that? You know what? I can't deal with it. I'm just gonna pray for him. Believe that God is gonna reach him.
Yes.
In a way that you can't, right?
Yes.
So tell us about that process for that.
So as I continued to pray, there's a time when he got out.
Oh, okay.
He got out. He was doing his own thing. I was still going to church. I
For
took my
real?
kids- yeah.
Homeboy got out and was still on his own thing.
Still doing his thing.
All right.
Still bucking.
Still
So
bucking.
I'm praying. Every time there was an altar call, I was praying. Every time the church go visit other church, I was right there doing it. I kept myself busy, but at the same time coming home, it was lonely because he's out there in the streets again, gone for weeks, 2 or 3 days, don't answer his cell phone. But I was still just, I said, God, I'm still trusting in you. And like I said, the more I went to church, the more I got myself fed, the more I just, prayed and prayed. And even people from my church, when I would go to the altar, oh, there she goes again. She has to go pray. I said, yeah, I'm going to keep praying till God answers me.
For real?
Yeah.
Straight like that.
Straight like that, boy.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yes. But my pastor,
Uh-huh.
oh, he's like, you keep praying, you keep loving him, you show him the love of Jesus that's inside of you.
Speak to the person that may be the one going to the altar feeling discouraged and sees those eyes and hears those little whispers of, there she goes again, or there,
Yes.
whatever. Speak to that person.
When I was at church, people will always laugh at me and say, oh, there she goes. She's always the same one at the altar. But you know what? Let me tell you, there is power in prayer. You be like the persistent widow, that went up to the judge, kept telling them until they got tired of it. And, they granted her wish. But you know what? You keep on asking God because he's listening. He hears your midnight cries. He knows what you're going through. And it's not good for you to be alone raising your kids. But you know what? There's nothing impossible for God. So I kept praying and crying. And so what? People talk about you. At the end of the day, it's just going to be you and God. You and your God and your family. So, I kept praying and I kept seeking. And just like our cell phone, if we don't go to church, we're going to die spiritually. You got to continue to feed yourself. You're only the strongest with what you feed yourself the most. And that's the word of God.
Come on now, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That you're speaking to that community. There's so many of us that have them stories where if it wasn't for God working through the local church, man, where would we be? We ended up not like we're perfect or anything, but it gave us a well-rounded understanding of what it's supposed to be like to live among each other, to be there for one another, to eat together, to learn together, to grow together, to live life together, you know? And that's a beautiful thing because outside of, you know, that faith community, we know what it's like to sit around a tailgate and do this, that, or the other in the backyard, you know, this or in a club, wherever it's at, right? And little do we realize or know that that desire to be in communion with other, to commune with God first of all, but then with the fellowship of the saints, you know, with the people, is that there's so much power, there's so much miracles that happen when we come together. Now, of course, you know, because we're human, that can go into ugly. It gets messy, right?
Yes.
But when you stay the course and continue to move forward, despite your struggles or the struggles going on around you, you hear these beautiful stories and testimonies of what God can do and will do. So as long as you allow Him to, you know, sis, I'm thinking, I know that, you know, even when we hear these stories of hope and see God working through you, can you speak a little bit more about those times of doubt that you had? Not that you gave up, because it's evident that you didn't. Could you speak to us about those times of doubt where you being human, where the tears came from, and you know what I mean, like wanting to give up in all kind of ways, shape, form, or fashions, right?
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
You know, like I said, even though I was going to church, you always see the couples, you know, sitting together as a family. My chair was empty because he wasn't there, and now I'm battling with my children. How come I have to go to church if Dad ain't going to church? You know, and you got all this stuff going on. But you know what? It's like I had to be persistent. I had to push myself. There was times I didn't want to go to church.
Okay.
You know, because of the loneliness.
Yeah.
You know. So and then at home, when he was at home, at midnight, I would get that anointing oil and said, you know what? I would get up and I would get on my knees and just lay hands while he was sleeping and praying in my mind. So I won't wake him, and I will speak life into him.
Wow.
Start speaking, Lord, every time he drinks beer, let him throw up. Every time he does cocaine, let his nose bleed. Let him get migraine headaches. Those were my prayers.
Wow. Man.
Righteous thugging.
Nah, straight up.
For real, man. Come on, somebody.
You know, I know that when people hear these stories, there's some that say, oh man, that's extreme. Like that doesn't. But I mean, we're extreme people though. We'll do it in other areas and other directions. It's already inside of us. When you apply that and use that same energy to do it for God, you know, do it for your family, for your kids, for yourself. But when you do it for God, right, your allegiance to God, your commitment to God, man, it just changes things. You know what I mean? And we understand community. Sometimes our folks out there, they're knuckleheads like we all are, right? But they'll talk noise about that. But if you just listen for a minute, we're all the same, man. We all have the same doubts, the same things that happen. But listen, when you stick it out and you find yourself, when you embrace a relationship with God, this is what happens. This couple here is not sitting here like they're all that in a bag of chips, but God is all that in a bag of chips, and because of that, man, they get to eat what's in the bag of chips. You know what I'm saying? They get the benefit, man, to taste and see that God is good, right? And all the miracles that have happened then, and even all the way up into this point, and we're getting there. So tell us, let's continue on this journey.
Okay.
He gets out. You're praying. At this point, you're praying over this guy here, the man in your life. You're not giving up somehow. By the grace of God, you haven't given up. And tell us where that leads you.
You know, he would, like I said, he would come and go, and you know, there was times you're always going to hear he's out there with so and so, he's messing around, and you know, you start thinking like, man, maybe I'm not good enough. But you know what? It still wouldn't change me because love never gives up. I always tell people 2 reasons why I never stopped: because I loved him, and the second, because Jesus never gave up on me. And so, you know, even the times when he wasn't there and he came at 6 o'clock in the morning, I asked him, "Are you hungry? Have you eaten yet? You want to make you something to eat?" As a wife.
Yes, sir.
Wow. That's powerful. That's powerful. You know, what do y'all say to? Well, let's talk about the story. You know, for those of you who haven't heard Evaristo's story, the guy's a celebrity. He's on TB. I mean, you name it, 700 Club. I mean, everything like that. Mike Barber. Uh, if on our channel, on this channel, you'll see where we have him on there. When we did the interview with him, you'll see all the links that we have in there to take you to his story. But he shared his story on here when we introduced him, and so man, you'll hear everything in there. But you know, could you tell us about the part where Evaristo has told us about when he made that decision to change, what he was on his way to do, and can you tell us that story from your perspective?
Yeah, so, that night he was, he came home late, and I was like, you know what, there's revival tonight. I want you to come to church, and I want to ask you who you been with, what you've been doing, if you just come to church. And he's like, well, what time does church start? I said, starts at 6 p.m. I want you to be there. He goes, fine, I'll go. Just let me sleep. So I turned off the light. Me and the kids left. We came back 5 o'clock. So I said, it's time to get up. I said, let's go to church. He goes, I ain't going to church. I said, okay. If you don't want to go to church, I said, get you a black trash bag, put all your things in it. Don't leave nothing behind so you don't have no reason to come back to the house. And I want you gone. Because, you get tired of it.
So you got to that, you reached that point where, yeah, there was grace, there was mercy. You went through all the stuff you went through, and you finally, had a point that you've reached where you gave him an ultimatum. And you apparently were so serious about it that it transferred over. And what did he do?
He said, okay, I'll be there. I said, okay, if you don't show up, you know what you got to do. So me and the kids left. He went in the backyard, got started get the weed and started smoking underneath the tree. And then he threw the weed on the ground and smeared it with his foot and said, you know what, I don't even want to smoke weed anymore. He came to church. Bible says come as you are. He came in khaki shorts, a tank top, smelling like weed. But I kept looking in the back when the people would come in, and I saw them. So me and my kids, because I wasn't embarrassed them, I went and sat with them.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you got to share this with us. What was your reaction to, let's just say, your pastors, the leaders of the church? What did they do, or what happened?
They came and just handshake like we normally do.
They embraced them.
Embrace me.
Embrace them.
Smelling like dope and everything.
Smelling like dope.
Yeah.
Muscle T-shirt and some some shorts. Did you have huaraches on?
I had some Dickie slides on.
Oh, okay.
Like them
With
kind of
socks.
winos.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like
socks
the
put up to the
wino.
kneecap.
Hey, come on. Shout out to everybody who had the winos on. Come on.
Yes,
y'all.
sir.
You remember when they came out the shoestrings?
I remember.
Winos, boy, you would eat if you had them. Straight Kmart, Walmart, Payless.
Yeah.
Yes.
Boy. Anyway, all right, so they walked in there. So he walked in there, they embraced him. Okay, hold on. Be real, though. What did some of the hermanos and hermanas say? What did some of the church folks say?
Oh, they just looked at him, but it was the pastor that came and acknowledged him, and
So be honest though, there were some people in the church that kind of put their nose up, like made faces probably, or you know what I mean, like whispering, kind of like when you were walking up to the altar, but the pastors overall, they set the tone as far as all are welcome, come as you are. They didn't look at him a certain way. They didn't say, "No, turn around, go get dressed. Don't, come back when you showered up and don't." You ain't. He walked in there high as a kite,
smelling like weed and beer.
And they loved on him.
And they loved on him.
Yeah.
And as a result, what happened?
So, anyways, they did the altar call. First it was the praise and worship, then the word, and then the altar call. And said, I know there's somebody out there, and he didn't give his life to Jesus that night. And we went home. He supposed to went out that night, but he went to bed.
He went to bed that night.
Went to bed that night.
So as that was a beautiful, tangible moment of all the prayers and everything you went through, what did that turn into from that moment on?
I was like, man, I felt the joy, the love, and the next day was Sunday. I said, hey, how'd you like church? I didn't like church. I said, let's go to church. I don't want to go to church. Come on. Man, fine. If you keep asking me, I'm going to go. So we
So
went
you
as a
kept asking
family.
him.
Yeah, we went as a family this time.
Man. And so God was answering your prayers over and over again, which was a crazy miracle, and God speaking to you, of those answered prayers, how that hit you. That's you personal.
Yes.
You had to carry that even when people made fun of you, when you doubted, people doubted you, I'm sure that at some point, I'm sure that in the back somewhere, the pastors at some point, because they're human, was like, hey, Lord, we're going to keep praying, but, and here's God at work doing a miracle before everybody's eyes, right?
Yes.
And I bet you the pastors, man, were so blessed to witness God at work, and understand the faith community and what y'all went through as a family, to see um, you, Brother Evaristo, respond to God's grace in that way and engage with God, and they witnessed that. I mean, the pastors, for those of you pastors that are out there, man, leaders in the church, man, don't give up. Don't give up, because it's tough whenever you're pastors, what I mean, as you guys know now, but man, even when you're in doubt, even though you're being faithful and you're praying, just never give up, man. Just let this be a reminder of who God is in you and through you, and the seeds you sow, and the seeds that you're able to water, and it's worth it. It's worth it, man. And you may not even see it all in your time, right? But it's worth it. It happens because God's word does not return void. You know what I mean? He is a God that he does not lie, regardless of what we may think at some point or another, and all upset. Sometimes we can get mad at God too, even pastors, even leaders, right? It happens, right? And that's just being honest and transparent. But God loves you. And what God has started in you, he will finish. He is the author and finisher of our faith, right? If you're a parent out there, don't give up. Maybe you're a parent, you're like, that's my daughter right now, my son. Don't give up. This is stories of hope that of how God can and does work, and he wants to do in your life. Don't give up. Maybe you're in the position where Angelica is, or maybe Pastor Evaristo too, and Pastor Angelica. Listen, man, and maybe you can't relate to none of this, but maybe God is challenging you on how you think about folks like us, because let me tell you right back at you, God has dealt with us about folks like you, and he brings us together, even though folks like all of us aren't supposed to come together, and we aren't supposed to, love one another and understand each other, because we know that it's very possible for us to not relate to others that are not like us in our stories, and vice versa. And sometimes that draws a wedge between all of us. But my prayer and hope is that, this Hope for My City prison edition does that every time you see us, because you're going to see different folks all together. We may come from the same background and similarities, but you're going to see people that are way different than us, that you're going to see that God continues to do miracles even right here today. With that, could you tell us your experience then doing ministry with your husband?
Oh, I love it. Now I know what it is, go behind the walls and reaching the souls of men and women for Jesus, loving on them, because all their lives they've been put down, or they look like they're, just a number or an outcast. But you know what? They're humans. And
so explain to the people who may not know and may not have heard your husband's story, Pastor Garcia as well. So, Pastor, could you share what do y'all do right now here today?
Well, we're pastors at the church that I prayed for 8 years, at New Covenant Life Church in McGregor. The church that we got married at, and to today we do prison ministry. We'll go out highways, byways, but we do men and women prison. Not only that, we work under Mike Barber Ministry.
Come on
Amen.
now.
And as we speak, we're about to go do a men and women prison in Vegas. That's we never done before, and get to interview the football players that are Christian. You know,
And this
so
is at the Super Bowl.
this is at the Super Bowl.
What?
Yeah.
The favor of
The
God.
favor of God.
So tell us about what's about to happen for y'all with that. So how you getting there? What's going on? Tell us.
So we're leaving on the 3rd, which is on a Sunday.
Okay.
We're gonna fly out from Houston,
Okay.
and everything's free. So it'll be me, Mike, my husband Evaristo, Brandon Barber, and the praise and worship team, Alvin and Justin, and we're gonna fly out there and do God's will, just do our thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Evaristo, could you speak a little bit more to that in your perspective of what's going to happen there?
Yeah, so we're just gonna go and we're gonna do in Las Vegas. We're gonna do 2 women's. We're gonna do prison ministry Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday
In Las Vegas.
in Las Vegas. 2 women's prisons services on Monday.
Okay.
2 women's prison services on Tuesday. 2 men's services in the prisons on Wednesday and Thursday.
Wow.
And then we also have a team that'll be interviewing and getting testimonies from all the former NFL football players that are believers and the current NFL football players that are believers.
Wow.
And we'll be interviewing them and just getting testimonies, man.
We can't wait to hear
And,
once you guys come back.
Yeah. So it'll be great. It'll be a good time, and it's a blessing to be able to serve,
Amen.
That's it.
right? To
That's
just to be able to
it.
go serve in those areas and just to be used as a vessel for God.
Okay. So, Angelica, could you, as we land this plane here, could you tell us where do y'all go? How do y'all function here in Texas and all that? So,
all the prisons that we go to, hotel, food, gas, it's provided. It's already paid for.
okay.
So
And what prisons do y'all go to?
we go to Huntsville. We go to Gatesville. We go.
There's a whole
There's
list.
a whole lot.
You
I mean-
Pretty
name
much
it.
all the places in Texas.
Yeah, you name it, we go.
and,
Yeah.
and y'all have access to
Just to go and go
Favor.
to the prison.
Favor.
the favor of God.
Yeah.
How would you say, and we're going to get to asking this question to some of the special guests that we'll have, but how do you think, when it comes to people in high places in the system, how do you think they come to trust you and build relationships with you in a way that brings that kind of favor from God, right? So it's not just because, there's favor from God and you guys are just whoever. So can y'all talk to that piece? Let's do that.
Yeah. So they watch your walk.
Yes.
They scrutinize
Okay.
in the right way
Right.
because they have to.
Yeah.
Security.
Okay.
And so they watch your walk. and
For a long
see if you're
time,
real.
we were under Mike Barber, and anybody wants to volunteer. Of course, we love prison, so we just went under his umbrella just to volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know for a long time they were watching us as a husband and wife,
Really?
just to see how we would act, if we, slash out or even promote other ministries when we're under them. But no, But I didn't even know they were watching us until one day he invited us to go to his house and spend the night. We even got our own room over there.
Really?
And he told us,
Yeah.
Yes, I've been
He let
watching
me
y'all
know.
for a long time.
I've been watching you for a long time.
I didn't even know, wow.
Because he's very protective of his platform.
Of
Yes.
course.
So
so
Rightfully
he was just sizing me up. And I just, even before I got saved and the way I moved on the streets, and you could relate to this, we talked the talk and we walked the walk.
That's
And
right.
you're familiarized with this, that so many dudes out there, they talk a lot, but they never do anything.
Right on.
And the way I moved is just the way I was. Anything I said, I always did it on the street.
Uh-huh.
But even more when when I surrendered my life and I came to Christ, right? And
That's
so,
right.
man, there wasn't gonna be no compromise. And so it's he was able to witness that, right? Because there's got to be evidence.
Straight
If
up.
you say you're a believer, there's got to be evidence, right? If
Yeah.
you say you're a part of something,
Mm-hmm.
there has to be evidence of it. So, yeah, man, I get saved and I was going to be all in 100% and just stayed humble. And yeah,
But you know what? To add to that, also, they'll go back to the chaplains and ask the men and women, hey, who's the Garcias? How are they when they come, man? And they just like, I love them. They're real, they're true, and it's all about a word of mouth. I mean, really, it's all about the men and women behind bars to say, you know what, they have the voice to who they want in to come and preach and who they're going to listen to, and they go back to the chaplain so that it's.
So y'all were working other jobs and
yes.
volunteering.
Yes.
yeah.
And so at what point, Angelica, did it get to where that started transitioning?
It happened. He just hired me.
We both got hired this past year.
Yeah, we both got hired. First, it was him,
Right, right.
and I got mad. I'm like, God, I said, my passion. I said, I love prison more than Evaristo. Like, what's going on? But then my friend told me, look at it this way: he's paving the road for you. He's going to the wardens, to the chaplains, getting to know them
Yeah.
personally, so the doors could open. So when you come full time, the door's already open, and that's exactly what happened.
Man. Ain't God faithful?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Man, that's
We just
awesome.
gotta wait.
So how many? Hold on. So how many years has that been?
Nah, it just all happened within a
just
few
happened.
months.
I know, but put it in perspective.
Prior, 15 years.
15 years we've been doing, prison.
So it didn't happen overnight.
No.
So people been watching you to see if you about what you say you about.
Yes.
And of course that takes time.
It takes
right?
time.
It year after year after year for to be able to build trust.
That's right.
Trust takes a lifetime to build, to get. And it takes one decision to lose all that trust, right?
Yes.
And so you guys have been able to have everybody that works with y'all to build that trust, both with y'all, with them, and then with you.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most beautiful things in ministry is when we, even like here, I respect, your husband, both of you guys, right? Also watching and just checking it out. He wasn't the only one watching, right? Because when you hear, we all get excited when we see our people that are changing, that comes from the same tribe we come from. But we also, we've been in this for a long time. We know how it goes, There's some fortunate and unfortunate things, and there's times where it really does feel lonely, right? Talking about lonely, it feels lonely when you're being consistent, when you're doing what God has called you to do. We may not talk about it, but it just is, because most people, for all kind of reasons, they just fizzle out and die in their faith. What I'm trying to say, for all kind of reasons, right? They'll hit a wall, and that wall, it'll either get you. Two things are going to happen when you hit a wall, spiritually, when you're in a relationship with God. Is when you hit that wall, you either get closer to God or further away from God. And unfortunately, when you've done this for a while, you see more people more often than not that when they hit those walls eventually, maybe they hit a couple of them, they're good, but at some point they give up, right? And so it does get lonely to have to sit there and say, man, I see old boy, he got a story, man, that's beautiful, but I wonder if there's going to be a story that's even more beautiful than that of moving forward, right? Because that testimony initially that's cool for me. That's cool, and I mean, I get it. That's dope. It's wow and all that, But to me, the most beautiful testimony is, who have you or will you become, right? Not what you've been brought from. The more powerful story is, who have you become, right? Or are becoming, right? To me, that's the most beautiful, because a lot of people stop at, that's my story. I was a gangster. I shot 5 people, and I mean, okay, well, that's great, but like, what's greater than that is who God wants you to become. That's the story, the testimony, the beautiful piece of who God is, to be able to live on this earth and say, man, I've been on this earth serving God longer than I haven't. That's crazy to get to a point and be able to say. But I've been watching, just like Mike has, just as a regular person in this community, has been a leader, and to see where you guys are at is why it's an honor. You know, when I have connected with Mr. Garcia, Pastor Garcia here, it's at a whole bunch of respect, because there's not a lot of us where we're at right now, doing it this long, still made it through. I'm not saying we're the only ones. I'm just saying it's pretty slim pickings. You know what I mean? That's why I say it's lonely. So all that to say that I am so blessed to have y'all here with us, you know, and for what I do, you know, in the community, the beacon of hope that you guys beam out, you know, from God, you know, as he works through y'all, to all couples out there, man, you know, all ladies that are out there, all gentlemen that are out there, man. And, you know, you guys are amazing, and it's beautiful to see the longevity of you know, who God is, and not only back then, but he's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. And to see y'all also move as a power couple, and that's what I'll call it, because people say that to me and my wife. That's a unique thing that doesn't always happen, and it doesn't mean that for those there's still power, the power of Jesus, right? That's what we're talking about. But there's not, it doesn't happen all the time where the husband and wife together serve in that in a way of leadership, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what I am saying is pretty cool, you know, also whenever we both get to serve together with our spouses, that's a beautiful anointing and a beautiful thing that I'll just say it doesn't get highlighted a lot for whatever reason, but we're gonna highlight it. That's a big deal. And so hopefully on this platform, you'll see more Jesus powered couples. I know my wife gets on to me sometimes because the way I say it, but you know, where couples are moving together and doing some great things together, man. That needs to be celebrated, because what is celebrated is repeated, you know. And so shout out to everybody's out there that are doing ministry together and that are making a difference. And for those of you who just started this journey, man, I pray this encourages you. And for those of you who've been on this journey, that you be blessed, and everybody in between. We're going to stop here for now. There's so much ground to cover, and, you know, God willing, we'll continue to make these steps and discern, you know, for the topics and stuff like that. But you'll see a lot more of us together, and we hope you were blessed. Man, y'all have a great week, and we'll see you next time.